This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the First 100 podcast. This is where we explore the journey of entrepreneurs, business owners, agency leaders, while they all share with us the strategies, the challenges, and triumphs that have led them to secure those first 100 customers. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's partnership coordinator. I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Hikari Senju from Omneky. Hi, Hikari.
How are you doing, Daniela? It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Just so that we can get started, for anybody that doesn't know about Omneky, doesn't know about you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business?
Sure. So Omneky is an omni-channel creative optimization and generation platform. So if you're running ads on various social media platforms and display platforms and streaming platforms, and you need to create marketing assets and advertising assets for those platforms, and then analyze the performance of those assets and then generate new variations of content, we're the workflow tool for that. And our customers
Awesome.
have seen, and our customers have seen a 2x increase in ROAS from utilizing our platform, and in around 8 times, efficiencies in terms of time and costs.
Interesting. So you guys are basically sort of using AI to leverage content marketing and advertising, right? To make it a lot faster for business owners.
Yeah, so I think we were the first mover in ad tech for generative AI. I found it back in 2018 um, with this product. Definitely the product has changed a lot since 2018, but we were offering the early GPT models with our platform back in 2018, 19. When GPT comes out, the first version of GPT comes out in 2018, and we were doing early insights and analytics with computer vision back in 2018 as well. So um, it's the core offering of the company hasn't changed since we've founded the company, but definitely underlying power and technological capabilities have advanced significantly.
So how has the AI that you've been using in Omneky since you got started in 2018 been changing to create generative creative content?
Yeah. So the first version of the product was basic computer vision models. Like there's a cat in the model, there's a cat in the image, there's not a cat in the image, there's a dog in the video, there's not a dog in the video. Is this correlated with increasing click-through rates, increasing conversion? Is there any kind of connection with that and conversion rates? And then using early fine-tuned. So the early days of GPT-2, is you could take an embedding from Hugging Face, and then you can fine-tune that to generate copy that was relevant to the brand. And so that was the early versions of Omneky. On the generation side was an LLM to generate copy, powered by fine-tuned GPT-2 models and fine-tuned GPT-2 embeddings. And then we would recommend stock. But so that was version like 1. And then since then, obviously, there's a lot more LLMs now that power the copy generation. There are the insights and analytics of, it's not just basic computer vision anymore, but using multimodal AI to uh, discern trends in images and video, discern creative elements within images and video to get better predictive insights, and then generating product photos also, using fine-tuned diffusion-based models to generate hyper-realistic product photos, fine-tune the model on product photos, on brand styles, and then your locations or clothes, um, to generate hyper-realistic product photos, and then separately an LLM fine-tuned on the brand voice. So we're generating copy content in the voice of the customer. So the technology has advanced significantly since we launched, but the basic idea of using analytics and insights to power personalized content. That hasn't changed. And our tool is just more capable and powerful because of the underlying changes. And that was kind of the idea and the thesis when I founded the company back in thinking about the company in 2017 and founding the company in 2018 is that these underlying technologies will improve. This use case will become even more critical. And so we focus on the specific use case for advertisers. And then we get to ride the wave in Gen AI. And so far, that strategy seems to be working out.
That's incredible because I mean, I was also like I was very young in 2017, 2018. Well, maybe I wasn't like in the tech game. Um, but I don't remember AI being as big as it was back then. So, the fact that you had the vision to see that this was something that had a future is incredible to me. I mean, I think people really don't, not everybody has that sort of vision to see where the future is headed.
I think there's an element of being right place at the right time. I studied AI computer science at Harvard, and with a focus on machine learning. I was taking a lot of AI coursework at MIT. I had also gone to MIT, and I then separately, uh, I grew up in a kind of a technological family. My grandfather worked at IBM, and so kind of had this intuition regarding Moore's law, the exponential rate in which technology improves. Now they're talking about Jensen Huang's law as well in terms of even more accelerated capability advancements in AI. And so um, just kind of developing the intuition that you know it's that technological improvement is not linear; it's exponential, um, and so therefore thinking that this was going to come sooner than later. This technology that we're seeing today. Um, and the second thing I think is having this kind of orientation around generative art and generative creative in general. My dad's an artist, and so he's a painter. And so when I saw the early generative models um, that was generating artwork, I got very excited about the technology because immediately saw the applications of generative art in advertising. I think advertising is one of the biggest commercial use cases of artwork.
Yeah.
And so, if you can generate art, you can generate ads. It's like, um, uh, and um, and so then immediately seeing that application in advertising, that's really what got me excited about, starting this company in the advertising space, you know, uh, before many others did.
That's interesting. So that's what motivated you to start Omneky. How was those like how did that sort of happen? How were the beginnings of the business, back like when everything was a lot smaller?
Yeah, I mean, this podcast is on the first 100 days, so it's yeah, gosh. In the just as you're saying, like the earliest days, nobody really took AI seriously, right? In the sense that like people thought AI
Yeah.
was people thought AI was vaporware. You tell somebody that you're AI, and they just wouldn't believe you. Like it just was like, sure, maybe in the next decade, maybe a decade from now, this what you're saying will happen, but it's not anytime soon. And so definitely the challenge of educating the market on this technology, um, and also building a product in this in terms of this capability. Those are two challenges that we faced in early days. Um, and I think you just need to find enterprising entrepreneurs and CEOs and CMOs that are willing to take a risk on you and take a chance on paying you a little bit of money to implement this tool. Um, We started, therefore, in 2018, our very first product was an analytics product. So it wasn't on the generative side because they were like, "Oh, generative capabilities, I have designers on my team. I don't necessarily need creative because I like the creative that my designers produce." But insights. If you get some good insights, analytics with the data that I'm sitting on, then that's a net positive, and we'll willing to pay us small amount of money for that. And so that was actually our very first product was an analytics product. We'd use computer vision to tag different elements in the creative, and we'd find correlations between those elements uh, and conversion rates depending on where in the funnel the customer was, and like the audience. So top of the funnel, start audience. These are the creative features that are driving higher conversion rates, and you can actually kind of um, uh, like filter out the results and the insights based on the audience and like the name of the campaigns and ad sets. And so that was the very first product. That product that product was, didn't necessarily get to 100 users, that product in and of itself, but did help start the business, get revenue, get data, which is the most important thing for generative AI companies. Get access.
Data.
Yeah, especially in ad tech, I think, there's, because ad tech really starts humming when you connect to the distribution channels and data. Because all the outside of that, you're just kind of a content creation tool, which is cool, but it's not really, ad tech. And so getting access to the distribution networks, the ad platforms, getting access to advertising data, that was a critical part of selling analytics tool. And then in 2020, we launched our first generative tool, which was powered by GPT-3. And that was a tool that you can generate copy. And that was really how we got our first 100 users.
That's wow. Like so it was essentially like a 2-year journey into getting that 100 user sort of milestone, right?
I mean, the first, yeah,
Pardon me.
it was a long incubation period. It was a long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely, but it was that experience again. Those were, those were very tough first couple of years.
I can imagine. Yeah, because like I guess like it's also you were working with something that was so I think nowadays if you want to start an AI company, people would be a lot more receptive to it. But at the time you were working with something that was so abstract and like most people didn't really believe in it probably or didn't understand it or like didn't see the value in it. So just having to get through the hurdle of showing people and educating them that this is something that is good, it's worth it, right? You need to understand it and it's going to help you so much.
Yeah, and the analogy I like to use with the team was it's a bit like surfing. It's like, you see a swell coming, you got to catch this wave. It's better that you're too early, out of space and you can kind of wait a little bit more to catch the swell and catch the wave than to be too late and not be able to catch the wave at all. And so, yes, we, we were a little bit too early. The swell was very small at first. Very few people could discern there was a wave coming potentially. Obviously, I think there were people who did see it as well, but there weren't as many, yeah, and then but now we're riding this wave, and it is thanks to the legwork we put in for the first 2-3 years, just grinding it out, talking to customers, developing an expertise in advertising, developing an expertise in creative workflows, and enterprise creative workflows, and then now we're now harnessing all this knowledge we've developed to grow in the market.
I'm curious, was any of as your growth affected by COVID, whether it was negatively or positive? I think I've spoken to people who have had situations where like COVID completely destroyed their business and they had to like remodel, reshape everything because of the nature of whatever business it was. Um, and then I've heard people who are like, no, COVID was great for me because people were spending so much more time at home. And my, like my product was for at home people who were doing remote work or something. How was that for you?
Yeah, COVID was an inflection point for us in several ways. Um, and that was really, it was very tough. It was a tough period for many people. It was very in terms of the company, it was very number of factors came together during that period. First of all, suddenly there was demand for digital advertising. So every company that was brick and mortar had to figure out a digital strategy, right? So even if you weren't running digital ads before, now you suddenly need to figure out how to run digital ads, how to create content, and there was suddenly an influx demand for digital advertising. There was a whole new cohort of businesses that were looking to learn and cheaply create and test advertising on social and online. So suddenly there was demand for our product. During that period, also GPT-3 comes out. So suddenly the technological capabilities of our tools also significantly increased. So the capability of our tool suddenly had a kind of a step change in capabilities, and then suddenly the demand for advertising and advertising tools also increased, especially on the SMB side, which is where a lot of startups start, increased in a step change as well. So those two factors were very key for us in terms of the first 100 customers, and then uniquely also I think composition wise in the team, um, this is not as discussed in terms of, I haven't really discussed this as much in terms of the history of the company, but we utilized a lot of college interns during this period. So um, the price of labor, as a startup, especially we're a bootstrap company for the first couple of years, right? Because it's AI, nobody really believes in AI, and so you kind of scrapping it out initially, very resource constrained. But suddenly you had all these students who are very smart, very knowledgeable, uh, that are stuck at home. And yes, they had to, zoom into class a couple hours a day or a couple hours a week, but they had a lot of time, and and they're looking to make money as well. And so, um, um, we hired like dozens of interns to help us with sales, to help us with marketing, to help us with customer success, and our team grew through like essentially like a army of college interns from many of the top schools, from really just myself and a handful of engineers to team of 40, 50 people that were all like kind of part-time interns. And so it was like literally these college interns making commission on and getting paid money on reaching out to customers, reaching out to leads, the technology being capable of selling this delivering generative content, and so demand for digital advertising. Those three things resulted in quickly the fast growth of that company of Omneky during 2020.
That's incredible. I mean, you were sort of able to leverage that to keep Omneky growing and stable. I think we saw a lot of businesses, like startups and small businesses, kind of fall apart during COVID. I remember in my I was in college when it all happened, and I remember there was like a bar near my house that was like popping, I guess, at the time, and they once COVID hit, they decided to start doing like delivery cocktails, um, but it didn't really go very well because nobody wanted to get delivery for like a margarita, and the place ended up closing down. And I was like, well, yeah, because that's the type of business that's very like interactive. It's really difficult to move a bar from like in person to
Yeah, yeah,
sort
it was a tough time for restaurants for sure.
of yeah. So it just kind of like I think it's interesting because you see such a big contrast with businesses such as yourself that are very like tech driven, AI driven, for more traditional type of businesses. And I think it really points towards how the future is moving as well for things like advertising, right? It definitely has changed, and I think data is very big now. Um, so much more important than it was. Like, I think I guess data has always been important, but I think now it's like even more poignant.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think people are suddenly realizing how powerful data is because you have these LLMs that are powered by all this data, and you're like, before you were just sitting on this data, and you could get occasionally getting a good insight based on some of these analytics tools. But it's still very hard to wrangle. You had high data scientists, and you had like spent a lot of money trying to extract these insights from the data, kind of massage data to get something useful. But now you have these LLMs that just you feed it data and it just like outputs magic, right? And so yeah, people are really seeing that the one-to-one mapping of data to value, so much more clearly now with large language models.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And then in terms of, I think there had, post COVID, they were talking about kind of this, or even during COVID, they were talking about this K-shaped recovery, right? So you had, AI, like online, the internet enabled, virtual enabled businesses like growth fast, but then kind of, um, brick and mortar businesses struggling during COVID, and then even a little bit, and so like it's been a tale of two cities, and I think that it continues to be a feature, I would say, of the general economic growth story overall. I would say is that kind of that continued kind of narrative in some ways of the continued hyper growth of internet and technology businesses and generative AI companies and semiconductor companies, and then kind of the and then maybe perhaps a slightly different narrative when it comes to non tech enabled businesses.
Yeah, I think non necessarily not a business that's not necessarily tech driven or that's more traditional, like a more traditional model, more like what we're accustomed to. I've seen a surgence of having that interest in more tech related to content and data and, trying to optimize a lot of things. Whereas like before, everything was a lot more traditionally oriented. I think now we see more of that correlation between the tech world and like, a random restaurant or like a small business because social media has also become very important. Content marketing has gotten really big, generative AI, ads in general, all of these things are sort of really changing the advertisement game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I also wanted to ask, since you guys have been since 2018, that's about 6 years, 5 years, right?
Yeah, it's getting there.
It's getting there. It's
It's
getting
getting
there.
up there.
What is in store for the future of Omneky? What have you guys got planned that's interesting or fun?
Well, um, the goal is to IPO the company, and generally it takes about 10 years to IPO a company on average, and so we'll see. I mean, that's the goal. We'll hopefully get to it in 10 years of the next 5 years. But also it's a milestone that we've survived this far as well. I mean, most companies do not survive 2 years, and most startups don't survive 2 years. And we've we've operated this company both during lean times and boom times, catching numerous waves and, like there's the big generative AI, but there's smaller waves as well. They kind of, um, um, so, whether that is COVID or post-COVID or, the it's like, every year there's like kind of
Sure.
this story, right? So, um, yeah, and so for us, it's continuing to focus on this core, focus from day one, which is data driven creative. How do we, use AI to help businesses democratize growth? So how do we help businesses tell their story, connect with customers with data driven, with data driven creative content? And so along that focus for today, and you know, as of September 18th, we release hyper realistic product photo generation. So you can fine tune a model on a product photo and on a brand style, and it will generate hyper realistic product photos in the style of the brand in any setting. You can prompt it any setting. It'll generate that image. You don't need to do an expensive photo shoot or video shoot anymore. Um, we do it with AI. And so that means more content, fast iteration, more higher conversion rates and faster, um, if you, cycle times in terms of testing content. Um, we're generating creative briefs and ideations, mood boards, providing insights with very rich insights in terms of creative for our customers on an omni-channel basis. Um, those are some of the capabilities we're offering today. But in the future, more agent-driven advertising, more autonomous advertising. I think today we're kind of in a co-pilot situation with AI advertising. You have a human in the loop, working with an AI to create content. But I think in the near term future, it'll be more full self-driving, fully autonomous systems where an AI is generating content on its own and kind of running the content because that cycle time is even faster and more can be
Efficient.
more efficient and yeah people make a lot of mistakes. And AI makes mistakes and people also make mistakes. But as the rate of mistakes that AI makes gets lower, then at some point, a full self-driving system makes more sense. And so that transition is probably going to happen. We're going to have products like this in the next. We're going to have products like this soon, but that overall transition will probably happen over the next couple of years. And yeah, I think continue to focus on other ways we can democratize growth and help businesses connect with customers with personalized generative ads. So,
That's
yeah, there's a
amazing.
lot of like,
Exciting stuff coming for you guys. It's been great talking to you and hearing about OmniKey. Just before we close this call, I wanted to give you the space to tell everybody where to go and find you if any of our listeners want to use your services, they want to ask you any questions, they're curious about anything, floor is yours.
yeah. So check us out at www.omneky.com, OMNEKY.com. Also follow us on socials at Omneky, whether it's on X or on Meta, on Facebook, Instagram, on LinkedIn. on YouTube, on Threads. You can follow me at HISCNJU on X. And you can also feel free to send me an email at hikari@omneky.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I will be adding those links to the description of
Appreciate it.
this so that people can go ahead and find you. Um, Thank you so much, Hikari, for doing this.
Thank you, Danielle.
It's been great having you. For everybody watching, I'll see you guys on the next episode.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.